Hi there, it's Phoenix Jira. I am extremely impressed by anyone who can multitask. Now, my own resume has multitasking on it and has for several years, and I can multitask to a degree. But there are some people who can multitask far beyond anything I can imagine. Multitasking has always been something that I associated with the working world. Something done in employment and typically in an administrative role. The reason I say it that way is because I don't hear a lot of people talking about multitasking when they speak of their everyday life or being at home or outside of work. That said, I realize multitasking can be seen in several areas of life. For example, if I'm baking a cake, I can measure the ingredients, I can mix them as instructed, set up the oven, clean the utensils while I wait, and have the TV on in the background. But that's not really multitasking, is it? That is taking advantage of those moments when I'm doing nothing but waiting for the next step. I'm not going to stand around in the kitchen waiting for the cake to rise. To a small degree, you could say it's multitasking, but it's really just doing multiple things in an allotted amount of time. I'm not literally doing them at the same time or in such a way to confuse the whole process. Moving on to the example of administrative type role and multitasking, the reason I have that on my resume is because I can easily switch from one task to another and back again, usually without losing my train of thought. So I can put that on my resume, and in that particular example, I am able to multitask. Some people have a hard time with that because they have the need or the desire to finish what they're working on before doing anything else. This type of person may find it difficult to work in an environment where there are several duties to achieve in one day and might not be considered a multitasker. During moments when I become overwhelmed with the quantity of work or the differences between the tasks, I would sometimes just stop what I was doing and briefly walk away. If I could refocus and acknowledge that I can and will achieve as much as possible, then that time away from my desk wasn't very long. Now, there have been moments when it was just too much and I needed more than a 10-minute breather. Maybe that's the day I take an hour-long lunch or walk around the building. Getting away from the source can often lead to new ideas and, necessary distractions. In my last place of employment, there were some people who could work on the computer while also having their phone propped up playing a TV show. They could sort of watch the program while doing their work. Now, I often wondered just how well they did their job while listening to and watching something completely unrelated, but they seemed to do all right. I will say this, when they needed to work on a project or deal with a sensitive situation, they would turn off those distractions. Now, were they truly able to multitask, or were they just able to have other sensory input without disrupting their work process? When I wanted to get a lot done in a day and focus deeply into something like, let's say, data entry, I would put an earbud in and play rock music. It did not distract me at all. Actually, it helped me focus. It jacked me up, it pumped me up, got me working harder and faster, and often better. But if I actually had to think about what I was doing, I had to eliminate all distractions. Again, this is not considered multitasking at all, because the act of working and listening to music does not compete with each other, usually. Perhaps those people watching a TV show and working feel the same way, or perhaps they are not actually watching, but instead just casually listening. I remember one person in particular who could have a personal conversation on the phone while also focusing on their computer work. There is no way I could ever do that. What ends up happening is that either I have no idea what the person said, or I just literally typed what they said onto the computer screen. I would have loved to have been able to quiz that person to determine just how much they remembered of the call versus how much quality work they got done. So the question is, can a person truly multitask? Can they actually get two things done at the exact same time? In order to truly multitask, a person would need more than two hands and probably another set of eyes. When working on things that require the same type of attention, it's impossible to do more than one and give the task your full attention. Perhaps we have changed the definition of multitasking to doing several chores or duties within the same day. That's still not really multitasking, is it? I can already hear the people saying, yeah, but, and perhaps they would be right. A person can eat and watch TV at the same time, but again, those two things do not compete. You do not need to hold the TV in order to watch it. You do not need to watch or listen to your sandwich. Can you eat your meal and clean the toilet at the same time? No, you cannot. Now I suppose there's some smartass out there who will say they most certainly can. But there's still a difference between saying, challenge accepted, and sticking a bite of sandwich in your mouth while scrubbing the toilet and actually doing that on a regular basis. If you can work on 5 things throughout the day and get them all done adequately and on time, that's called good self-management. Okay, so yes, you are doing multiple things in a day. That is true. And it's also why people say they are good at multitasking. But that's true of many people in many situations. It's called living your life. Let me give you my definition in the administrative world. Multitasking means that you can do several types of tasks or duties within a given time frame with the added ability to jump from one to the other whenever necessary and not lose your further ability to go back to the previous task without missing a beat. That is as close to real multitasking I believe a person can achieve before things get messed up. Each person has a threshold of abilities. One might be able to finish 5 separate tasks in a day, switching back and forth. Another person may need to focus on one task at a time with a possible break before going on to the next. Yet another person might be able to get 10 tasks done while talking on the phone to their friend in another country, texting someone else, and watching the latest episode of their favorite TV show. The real question in the end is centered around quality of work, deadlines met, and how long the person will last in that position before they just can't do anymore. Stretching beyond a person's capacity before breaking down is another subject for another day. I believe if we use the definition of multitasking I gave earlier from an administrative standpoint, there are many people who can achieve this skill. If we use the definition wherein a person literally does more than one thing within the same category at the exact same time, that is not plausible. And there you have it. That's what I think about multitasking in today's world. This is Phoenix Jira, and I'm done with that thought. Fucking airplanes.